Hey everyone, today we are talk with Maitreyee, who's a brand designer and independent art director. Let's welcome her. This podcast now has a sponsor, but instead of पैसे मैंने ली है तुम्हारे लिए खास 3 स्कॉलरशिप फ्रॉम 10K डिजाइनर्स इन देयर न्यू कोहर्ट. ठीक है, तो भाई तुम्हारे जब इतनी मेहनत करके आए तो तुम भी जाओ, सिंपल डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में फॉर्म है उसको भर दो. Hey Maitreyee, how are you?
How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm awesome, man. I just wanted to get in touch with you, and I think we have been talking on Twitter a lot. So thank you for having me on your podcast.
How did you become a designer?
Oh my God. I think my journey is. I never thought that I would be a designer per se, but I always knew that I would become something of a creative person in a way. I think my family has a lot of creative people in the industry as well. Like my grandfather is an architect. One of my uncle, my aunt, they are both in like art and design and fashion and everything. So, and for Indian audiences, my uncle does a lot of designs for Amul, like the initial stage of Amul and everything. And it was really great to see all of that growing up. But yeah, I think my mom saw me drawing and coloring pretty well at the young age, and she didn't think twice about it, because I think she knew there are a lot of artists in the family. So she's like, yeah, I think this kid is gonna do the same thing, so let's not disturb anything there. But yeah, I think I was very fascinated with just animation field, like first of all, like Pixar. Pixar, Disney.
Yeah.
I used to watch a lot of Ghibli studios as well. And I think, yeah, I watched Totoro, like my neighbor Totoro by Ghibli Studios. And a couple of initial, like Bambi was very famous at that time when I was a kid. And I'm like, I am going to be something of a creator. I'm going to be an animator. And I just went through that thing. But yeah, I started with the whole art process first. I used to draw a lot, and I slowly started to find a lot of mentors in my close community. I started to find a lot of mentors in my close community first, and yeah, I found a lot of teachers who could teach me about the industry and tell me how many fields there are and how I can choose certain things. And there are a lot of intros to design colleges, art colleges, what I need to choose, and there are so many decisions that need to be taken for all of this. But I think it's all a slow process. But yeah, artist turned designer was mostly because I got into my bachelor's. When it comes to like the degree sense of it, I got my bachelor's in fine arts from Pune University.
Nice.
Yeah. So I think slowly I got to learn the basics of it, which is also very important, like the principles of art in general. It's like know the rules before you break the rules kind of thing. So it was really great to learn about history of art, history of advertisement, color theory, and everything. Yeah, it was amazing. It was a good journey so far.
Got it. So from the start, your parents knew what you will. I mean, not what you will become, but at least the direction of it, right? So you chose to go to college. I'm gonna assume you did science. I don't know how the 12th thing works in that time.
No.
Arts.
No. I am not at all an academic person at all. So I was really good with artists, like creative stuff when it comes to school. And even if you ask a lot of my school teachers, I think they knew that she's like a creative person. So whenever we had like annual days and stuff, I was the person like handling all the creative stuff for school, going on stage, like talking on the mic for the whole school. And I think I was more into all of those things than studies for sure. And I think my dad told me the one thing that I'm like so thankful for was like, just don't fail, okay? Just pass the whole thing. I was like a very average student because I wasn't not much academically inclined, and I really hated maths and science for sure. That actually to learn. But I was good with languages and stuff. So I used to really love learning new languages or just dive deep, dive deep into languages, which was really fun. But yeah.
So after 12th, you got out, you got into, so you are from Pune.
Yeah, I did. So I'm from Pune, but most of my school days I was in Ahmednagar for my. I'm from My dad's from Ahmednagar, my mom's from Pune.
Yeah, so you got into fine arts. You did Bachelor of Fine Art. Which college was this? And what was, like, if you can tell me about the courses, what they were teaching, like how was the way they were teaching?
Okay. Yeah, so I thought of getting into a lot of design specific colleges, and they were diving. So I got into NIFT. I also got into Srishti in Bangalore. And there were other colleges for bachelors, but the thing was they had a very few courses which were open to the caste system and everything. Like, I think you know what I'm talking about. And the courses that were open for me as an open caste person were just like one or two in fashion or something, which I really didn't want to do. And even though I got in the first list, I couldn't choose like design or like graphic design and specific things that I wanted to get in. So I'm like, you know what? I really want to know the basics of it, the principles of it, and just the overall rules, what needs to be done in the art field, right? So I got into Pune University, which is the Bharatiya Vidyapeeth Pune University in Pune, near Katras. And it was like, I think one of the best decisions I've taken, because in my class, we had every single person doing different stuff. Like we had people who were doing painting, illustration, animation, creating fonts, doing brand design, doing photography, doing 3D sculptures, doing exhibition design, getting into UI and UX. So I don't know if you guys know, but when it comes to commercial art design field or like a design degree, it is all about the foundation of art, right? So we had the courses or like the lessons or the classes of like history of design, history of advertisement, visual design, like the very basic commercial art degrees that you have. I think you can just Google online and you can get more in-depth knowledge about it. But it was good because it helped me experiment more. You know, I now I think like if I have gotten into just design programs, I would have just gotten into design. But nowadays I use a lot of mixed media. You know, I sometimes paint first and then do the digital stuff on it, and then add 3D to it, or then I photograph it, because I've been doing all of this since college, and it was a very experimental phase, and I absolutely love it. And I think having all these kind of people, we even had like block print in our school, in our college. So it was great to just see different mediums from traditional to digital and how we can just tackle it, you know, on the day-to-day basis. So it was a great thing to learn for 4 years.
No, makes sense, because my next question was going to be this only, right? Because you said that you were creative as a kid, you were doing anchoring, you were doing paintings, and like, how did you find that, okay, brand design specifically is something which I want to do? But as you shared that in the 4 year of college, 4 years, right?
Yeah.
So when you passed, right, did you have in your mind knew where you wanted to go? And what was the thing? Because like after I think third year, they start pushing you to get internships, right? Or get into practical projects. What was that like?
Okay, it has been a bit tough journey in my college last years, I would say. I think, you know, we all have like an internal politics going on, and at that point, most of my teachers, because I was a really good student, academic wise. Once I got my art thing going on, I was really good student, and really good ranking and everything. And I think most of the teachers, you know, because of the good student part, they want certain students under them or under their subjects, right? And most of them were in UI and UX part of it, or even like display design part of it. And they wanted me to, you know, get their specialization, like subjects. You have to pick one specialization. So I really didn't want to do that at that moment, because I was still stuck to illustration a lot. I love to draw. So I went to illustration. And at that point, I think I kind of, you know, got on a bad, what do you call it? On the bad front in front of my teachers. But I absolutely loved what I chose, because illustration is something that I wanted to kind of polish first, because I think illustration has such a heavy feeling of layouts, colors, details, shapes, sizes, patterns, whatever you can do. Like it's an extreme sport, I feel like.
Okay.
And I was, from third year, I was in contact with Chris Do. And at that point, I found his channel on YouTube. I think it was called the New School or something.
The school,
I was
with the
the school.
KWOOL.
Yeah. I'm not sure. It was New School or NU School. I'm not sure. But yeah, at that point it was something different, and I really wanted to know more about design because I didn't know where to go and get answers from, right? Especially about design, because I had a lot of mentors when it comes to art, artistic fields, illustration field, but I didn't know anyone who could teach me more about brand design. I knew even my college couldn't teach the newer things when it comes to brand design. So I went for illustration. I did my thesis in illustration and character design, which went great. But on the side, I was in contact with Chris, and I want to say thank you to him. I don't know what that teenage me was sending him, and he was responding to me. But I used to send him a lot of college projects at that moment, and he used to reply back with a lot of feedback, and I used to tell him like, be tough, it's fine. I understand criticism is gonna be not pretty, and it's not supposed to be pretty because we are not here to be friends, right?
Okay.
So he used to be like, this is not good, you have to work on this. I'm like, great, awesome, and I worked on it, and I used to send him again, then slowly it helped me to get a lot of mentors like this online, and after that I'm like, you know what, I was getting a lot of clients on the side while I was doing the college degree for logo design. Just like friends, family, I told them like, I'm doing this, if you need something, let me know. And my first design client was a local pediatrician clinic or something. It was a pediatrician clinic, and they're like, oh, we need a logo, and we need like a logo for our uniform and everything, can you do it? And it was a huge deal for me, like huge, big deal. And I think I did that. A whole project was a very big project for 5,000 rupees, which is very low, but like it was a first project, so it was completely fine. And I was very proud of myself. And that project went well because at that time I was getting a lot of criticism, like constructive criticism from my teachers as well as other people I found online, and someone who has already had like agency experiences and everything. So one of my motto has always been, have someone who you can start talking to about your projects going on and going further, because that helps you to grow a lot. Yeah, that definitely helped me get into design, and that's how I got my first job. So I worked in an agency in Pune for 2 years. Both of the founders are amazing.
Matt, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Before we get into the agency thing, I think one big point you missed, which I know because we had a talk before this, is that you were in a video series or a YouTube series with Chris, right? The Future. You want to talk about that? Well, I think the audience will love to know about that, because I feel that's a very big part of how I'm going to assume you were getting clients, and also the way your thought process also changed, right? Being part of that series.
So actually that happened after my job. So I did a job for 2 years. So I was in contact with Chris for 4 years almost. So in my third year, so I think 2014 or something, second year almost. And I graduated in 2016. Until 2018, I did my job for 2 years. So I started building my portfolio, and that agency that I was working with, they handled like big clients, but they were mostly into exhibition design, expo design, which taught me like another really big side of the industry, and I absolutely again fell in love with something else. But that helped me like last year again, like that experience. I will come to that afterwards.
But I'll just add one thing here to all the listeners, right? Any designers, right? So mostly now I just work with product designers, right? UX designers are mostly the audience I talk with, because I'm part of different industry in that way. But whenever they get to know about print design, their mind just blows, because print design is just something which people get into it, and then they get into technologies, right? Like you understand what is CMYK, you understand how colors work, how the printing happens, and then one day you are designing something on your screen, other day 3 in the night you are sitting at a printer to get the perfect cut. It's just a different ball game altogether. But sorry, continue.
No, it definitely was one of the toughest things I've ever done, because when it comes to logo design, branding or illustration, the changes can be done then and there, and it's completely fine. You don't you don't waste a lot of money if there is an error somewhere, right?
Right.
I remember working with a couple of projects, and both of the founders, something went wrong, and both of the founders, they are so supportive of all of us, and they just had to flew to the location, which was in Spain at night, and we were like doing the designs from here. And we were just sending designs there, and all the designs were printed wrong or something, and the English and Spanish, and it was a nightmare. And the printer was French. Oh my God, it was really weird. But us being us and the founders being our founders, and they were all very energetic, so that's why we could do it. But print design is one of the most I think stressful design fields I've ever gone to, for sure, and it's not for the weak-hearted, I would say.
So you work with an agency, and what was the position you joined the agency with?
Graphic designer, because it was my first job, so it was a graphic designer job. So they also had a lot of branding projects coming in, and I was handling that as well. But I told them, like, I just had this hunger, which wasn't getting the food that it required. I don't know what it is, but I get distracted very quickly. So if I'm in a good way in this field, so if I'm doing something when it comes to branding, and I'm doing some research about branding, I find some packaging design really beautiful. I'm like, oh my God, I want to do packaging design, And then once I start doing packaging design, I'm like, so someone is taking photographs with 3D Blender tools, like while using Blender all around the 3D packaging, and I'm like, I want to learn 3D. So I get distracted very quickly, and I think that wasn't getting quenched, So I had to leave it after 2 years, and as soon as I got into freelancing, that's when Chris reached out, and we were talking about something, and he's like, oh, I'm doing another series on the future that's called Young Gun Season 2, and it's all women. Do you want to be a part of it?
Why not?
I mean, yeah, but I'm not that great in front of the camera, but it would be a good challenge for it. Yeah.
No, I think also you're saying 16, you're saying, right? 15, 16 when you joined the job, correct?
16, yeah, 2016.
Yeah, also I think in that time in India, people are not differentiating from brand designer to graphic designers. Right, it's just the same thing. If you're a graphic designer, you do everything. You make logos, and I think you left after 2 years, or you would have designed a UI skin also at that time, because generally they are like, yeah, just design it in Photoshop and give us, this will work.
Yeah. I have done when it comes to design, I think I've done everything. I have also done a lot of print, like book kind of designs when it comes to brochures, like coffee table book designs.
Yeah.
Oh God, I've done everything, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I am not here to just say negative things about it, because I feel the more you design, the more you understand, right?
How did you make the decision of going freelance? Because you were already doing a job, right? You had gonna go into the income part of it, because it's a very huge part of becoming a freelancer, right?
Yes.
So how did that decision because you were already 2 years only in the industry, right? You had Chris, I think I'll give you that, but still the decision of going from a steady monthly income to being a freelancer at that early the stage is a little bit scary.
I don't think it was very scary for me. Again, I think I come from a very non-traditional background as well. So none of my family members, the close ones I would say, ever had a job, like a 9-to-5. I've never seen my mom or dad going to a 9-to-5 job. My dad had his own thing. My mom had her own thing. So she's an Indologist, an archaeologist. Again, a very non-traditional stuff. My dad is in industrial supply. So again, like a very traditional, very different thing. And they had their own independent stuff going on. So whenever she used to go for treks and trips, and her like educational excavations or whatever, my dad has to take care, and he absolutely loves cooking and all of that, taking care of a baby and everything. And it was a very non-traditional thing. So even my grandfather, who's a creative person, an architect, whenever projects used to come, he used to go to that place, do all of that work, come back. So that was a very normal thing for me. And when I got my 9-to-5 job, I'm like, what am I doing? Is this normal?
Oh, I get it. It's reverse for you. Like usually people go with the untraditional way freelancing. They're like, oh, what is this? This is amazing. For you, it was different. You're like, why am I doing this 9-to-5?
But when I was doing 9-to-5, I was also doing freelancing. because I thought like when you are getting projects, you have to get projects. Like that's how I saw my family doing, like getting projects. So I was getting projects because of the one project, and I used to start leveraging these projects afterwards and afterwards and afterwards. And I used to come back home at 7. Like how Indian offices work, especially at that time. And when you are just a junior, oh my God, I used to work a lot.
Not 9 to 5, it needs to be 9 to 9.
I think it was. At the point, for me, it was 9 to 8, I would say, like frankly.
Yeah.
Almost 12 hours.
They mostly overwork you. That's the. I mean, even I think in agencies, I was also a victim of this, and also was the one who was doing it at the earlier stage of the agency. That you try to overwork your juniors because you think in agency that's how it works, right? So I think that's we all over there. But okay. So you do the project together.
So I mean, when I used to come home, I used to get my freelancing projects going on, and I used to sleep at 11 and everything, and again get up, go to the office, So I started to build good freelancing clients at that moment, and once I saved a lot of money, I quit my job and I went freelancing full time.
And you've been doing freelancing for how many years now?
Since then, for sure. So like 2018.
So in the last 18, so 5 years, in the last 5 years, you never find something which you're like, I want to work with this full time, something like that.
So I think just once I joined something freelancing full time, I would say. It wasn't like a full time gig as well, but it was just for 3 months or 2 months, I think I did. So I got hired it was last year, I think. Last year I got hired by Oliver Agency. We all love Oliver's work for sure. And I've been following them and saw them in Cannes and everything. And I think someone got my resume somewhere, or I don't know how it was, but someone called me up saying like we have certain availability for a full-time design, like full-time art director last year in Bangalore office. Would you like to join? I'm like, I already have a lot of clients going on. Is it okay? Because I really wanted to work with their clients, and I just told them like if it all works out great, I would love to join full time, but I would love to see how it works freelance first, if that is okay with you. And they were amazing with it, and I worked with them freelance for some time. It was great.
You were already doing branding, and I think in freelance, right? Mm-hmm. When did that transition happen with the art director?
Again, I think it comes back to experimenting and experiencing as many fields as you can. I think once I started freelancing, I understood because I was also hiring a lot of people. I used to, for example, if I was working with, let's say a restaurant, I worked with a lot of restaurants in Pune. So they needed a lot of maybe murals done in front of it. So I'm like, okay, fine, I'll hire somebody. I can do the design. They can paint the mural in front of your restaurant. So that was great. So these things started to grow big slowly. Like some people used to come for branding and they're like, oh, can you do the website as well? And I'm like, I can hire that person for you. I can do the direction for you. But the thing is, I can't do the direction if I don't know that field at all. So I think understanding it from a long-term perspective, I think not a lot of designers think in a long-term perspective. Like, fine, I'm a graphic designer right now, but if I want to be an art director in like 3 years, you need to know all the things, like all the fields, all the softwares that you would direct them into, or all the processes that those people in those industries, in those fields start working into, because otherwise, how are you going to direct? Then you just become a manager, right? An art director is different than a manager. So you have to understand all the fields, all the nuances of like softwares even. So like answering your question, that happened about 3 years ago, I would say, or 2 years ago. And I think my first art direction client was Samsung. And I was so scared for it. And I don't think I didn't work with them as an art director initially. So I was supposed to be a storyboarding artist when it comes to a TV commercial that they were doing for M52. I think M52, the M series that was coming out in India. I don't think people outside India has the M series at all, but M series has a mascot, like colorful branding and everything. I think that'd be fun. So they got me through an agency for working as a storyboarding artist. And I did all the storyboard. I was very serious about it, frame by frame, what would come first, how the storytelling would happen, what frame would come first, what feature can come first, and so on and so forth. And we had to do that whole project in 11 days or 7 days or something. It was like a very tight schedule.
Always is with clients, yeah.
It always is. And I think their art director, the one who was going to work on all of this, I think through agency, or I'm not sure who it was, but that person got sick. And so they're like, oh, you have already done the storyboarding, so you know how it goes. Can you art direct as well? I'm like, yes. I was so confident about it because I know how the story was going to go. And I have done the whole sketching, and I did all the colors and everything. I also did the initial graphics for it just to understand, just to make the animation person understand how it's gonna come. So that was great, and that was like my first gig into art direction, but it was fun.
That's why, first of all, I think congratulations for that. That was a great opportunity. Second, I feel is what I liked this whole, from what I understood from the whole story is that you already started branding, right? 5-7 years back, but you're still doing storyboard, which is a very small part of, I don't want to call it small, but if you think of brand designer, mostly they'll start preferring, for example, logos or that brand design system, right? They're like, okay, let's go to brand strategy or let's get into that direction, right? Storyboarding, somehow they're like, any emotion person can take care of it, or maybe someone else, right? So mostly they leave these small or the very niche down things in the way. They pick the bigger brand and person can live. But you are still doing that after 5 years, right? And you joined a client for that. Most of the people are like, you know what? I do brand. Can I do this only? Why do you want me to do this? And so it's really good you did that. I guess that opened a lot of opportunities. Right? So experiment.
Yeah. Experiment. I would say nothing is, no work is small. And for me, being a storyboarding artist, so again, it depends on the brand you're working with as well, and you kind of understand their process. And I knew I wanted to be a creative director and an art director. So understanding those small nuances, even if it's small, but when you work with bigger brands as a storyboarding artist, it's not lightly taken, because that's the foundation of the TV commercial, right? That's the art direction part of it. And if that sucks, nothing can go ahead of it, because you need a blueprint to follow. Everybody needs a blueprint to follow.
Correct.
And whatever a storyboarding artist does, that's a blueprint everybody follows. So it's a big part of anything. And I think understanding that role of everything that you're doing is very much important. And because I absolutely love doing illustrations, I'm up for it, because I also knew a lot about design. I knew a lot about strategy. And now art direction. So I think you kind of slowly get into it. So yeah.
Slowly you build the whole persona there.
Yes.
So is that also because you do storyboard, right? You create short list. You this is how the shot is going to look like. This is how the camera, I want to move the camera this way. The camera moves in here. Is that also a way where how you got into video production, right? Because you are also a content creator, a YouTuber, right? You create. I
think my first experience getting into videos and actually handling a camera was again in college. We had an assignment to create a campaign for a brand that already exists, and we need to do a redesign for everything. So redesign the logo, redesign the social media page, redesign every single thing. So I chose I think Alan Solly or something, because I really liked the clothes at the time, and I think I redesigned their logo, social media. So we had to do shoots, proper shoots, people wearing the clothes and the layouts and every single thing, like colors and fonts and all of that. And I did a TV commercial for that rebrand at that point. So I think that was my first experience. And after that, directly it was with Cristo. And at that moment, for the future, I knew I was lacking so much when it comes to videos. And I was like, dude, I need to learn all of this. But growing up slowly, I was like, I really need to do this. And the first thing that is very close to me is traveling. I've been traveling all my life because of my family anyways. But I'm like, that's much more comfortable for me, where I don't have to show myself a lot, which, I was a very camera shy person. So I think I can do that. So I think initial videos, if you see on my YouTube, they're mostly about travel. And then I met Shantanu Kumar. We all love his videos, and he forced me to make a YouTube channel. I'm just putting blame on him, but yeah, I think because he kind of forced me and like, come on, do it. I'm like, yeah, I think, yeah, you're right. I think I need to do it.
And also, one thing, I mean, not the audience might not know, but if you now they'll notice is that whenever you go to a video and see a shot, right, from 3 different directions, they don't have 3 cameras. They are doing that 3 times.
With one camera, yeah.
With one camera, recording it 3 times, the same action. Yeah. People understand. I used to think, they are rich. They have 3 cameras set up. They are recording one thing. But then I started being like, oh shit, this is too much work. Video creation is not easy. So respect for that though.
Even so, yesterday, couple of people posted on stories that they are watching couple of my old videos. And they're like, oh, it is nice to see like the old videos or like something. I'm like, oh, that's nice. I think I should get back again with the YouTube thing. I think I go on like sabbatical or something with YouTube for like a month and then I get back into it. But I shot a couple of shots in the morning today. I'm getting back again. So I was shooting a lot of videos today, footage, right? So I made a coffee. I think you'll see that the next video that you guys would see would be in this shirt. So you guys would know it was done today. So the shot was just me doing a pour over coffee, like just very quickly. I think the shot would be just for like a couple of minutes, not even a minute, I think. Oh my God, the amount of the cameras I had to move before that coffee dropped completely into the glass was funny.
So first you talk about that you recently did work with ADPlist, right? You did illustration and everything for them, like a whole day thing, right? I would love to know that story because I saw Felix share your work, right? And then I was like, oh, you did it because I saw your Instagram. I was like, yeah, amazing. How did that happen?
Felix is an amazing friend. So I joined ADPlist about 1.5 years ago through another friend of mine. And he was like, oh, dude, you need to be because I was doing mentorships already, like mentoring sessions already when it comes to freelancing, right? I did a lot of sessions, like online workshops as well, and with institutes as well. I did one about freelancing and contracting with IIM Bangalore as well. So I was doing all of these things without a platform. So Vidunan, I don't know if you know him, but he's like, dude, you need a platform to come back to and just do all of these things. I'm like, sure. And he introduced me to Felix with ADPlist. I'm like, oh, that's great. And I think at that point, I was the only freelancer, like graphic designer on ADPlist because everybody was in product design at that point. And they were just trying out if people wanted this side of it as well. And it worked. It for sure worked. And yeah, I just became really good friends with Felix because of it. And the first project I did was the Be More Festival, did the whole branding of it. Again, we didn't have much time. I think the whole Be More branding was done in 11 days. When do we
have more time? Never. I think bad designers...
No, because I think I know it was an impromptu thing for them that should we do a branding or not, because they consulted saying that, oh, I think we wanted to do a rebrand. Or like a brand the whole Be More Festival. What do you think? I'm up for it. I mean, even if you have 11 days, I'm up for it. I'm always up for a challenge, and I think I have time now, so let's do it. And they're like, all right, let's do it. And did the whole Be More rebrand thing, and we did like NFT cards and a lot of creative stuff. And at that point, because Felix is also very creative and he's also a designer at such, and he was like, oh, I needed like a certain era. Like we went into a very neon 70s or 60s, I think 70s era for that.
Love the stickers in that, just dropping it.
Yeah. So that was a very abstract neon, like light strobe kind of an era for that. But for Product Day that happened this year, we went into much of a 90s thing. So it was a lot of Nintendo or Uno kind of inspiration.
Correct, yeah, colors here there.
Yeah. So it's amazing to work with him for ADPlist. And I love the platform as well. So yeah.
That's great. The journey is really interesting. First of all, I think here what I will take home, I mean, obviously the whole podcast has been really inspiring, but one thing I'll take home is that keep experimenting, keep trying different things. You won't just niche down to one thing. I mean, your job you can, cause Chris definitely tells you to niche down, but still as a creative, start doing as much stuff as you can, experiment on that side.
I mean, I'll tell you one thing. If Chris, you are watching this, please stop watching and go somewhere else. But
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna watch this podcast.
if you are watching, but Chris told me to niche down early on in the mentorship journey that we were having. So we did a lot of mentorship sessions off camera as well, which was I'm really thankful for him for that. But he told me to niche down. So I asked him, like, I want to do everything. Like, I want to be a brand designer. I want to be an illustrator. I want to do this and that and all of that. And he's like, no, you have to niche down. Like, take one thing. If you're doing really good with illustrations, just do illustrations. And I tried it, but yeah, that's the only thing I did listen when it comes to him. But we have talked about it afterwards as well, because I think my goal was to become like an art director, creative director sort of style. That's why it was necessary, because no one becomes an art director in a day or a creative director in a day. It's a process. And I started it early on when I started freelancing, and it's about learning everything. It's about learning all the softwares you can get a hands on. And that's why I do YouTube as well, because you start understanding angles and colors and exposure and aperture and also like masking for After Effects and so many things. So yeah, I agree.
No, this was really helpful. Thank you, Matt, for coming. I think if you want to add anything for the new designers who are listening to this, who want to become a designer, right? Any suggestion, any tip that really help, and then we'll close the podcast.
Yeah, one of my tips is just experiment and experience. Experiment in life and experience life, and I think art will come through it and creativity will come through it. And when it comes to design, start looking at it from a solution perspective and start reverse engineering a lot of your answers and a lot of your goals, and it will kind of help you to take it one milestone at a time in any of a project. So it'll be helpful.
Thank you, Maitreyee. Thank you so much for coming, Maitreyee. Thank you so much for coming. And I'll see you on Twitter. Thank you, everyone. I'll see you on the next Monday. New episode. Hope this helps.